All right, it is Tuesday, and because it's Tuesday, we have a special guest that we've been talking about for a very long time. It was supposed to be on Sunday. It was our fault. We didn't orchestrate it properly. Our bad. Me and Kev apologize. But it's Tuesday, and we have special guest, Vanessa Russo.
Yes, welcome to the show, Vanessa. We throw lots of Big Brother opinions out here, and we'd like to think maybe you care to hear them. But there's only one opinion today that everybody cares to hear, and that is Vanessa. We got a ton of questions for her about this season on Big Brother. Nick, I can't wait to hear her thoughts on how the season's going.
I know, especially because we obviously know that her sister is on the show. So can I take the first question here, Kev?
Please, let's jump into it. Yeah, no one wants to hear us talk when we got Vanessa on.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, Vanessa, what is it like to have your sister in the house? That's the first question everybody wants to know.
Wow, crazy. First and foremost, like, the summer is the most important time of year for a poker player. I've got the World Series of Poker, which means I'm playing poker basically every day. If I'm not in a tournament, I'm in a cash game. And now that my sister's in the Big Brother house, I am 100% distracted. So I might as well be in the Big Brother house myself because I can't really concentrate on poker. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I want to go back in time a little bit, Vanessa. First, I want to ask you, did CBS approach you to be one of the returning house guests? That's kind of my first question to you. No. Okay. So then how did it come about that Tiffany
was really strange. Like, so my sister participated in, I don't know if you know the show Sequester. It's an online Big Brother show type thing that Audrey does. And it was a second season. And so she had approached Tiffany I didn't know anything about it. I had no idea Tiffany was even doing this until Tiffany tells me, log on tomorrow, I'm going to be on this live show. It lasts a week, and it's like based on Big Brother and whatever. Bottom line is, Tiffany ends up winning, and she loved the experience. It was really, really cool, and it inspired her to really think that she wanted to contact the producers and say, hey, look, you know, this is what I did on Sequester. I'd love to go on Big Brother. My sister's Vanessa, blah, blah, blah. She did all this without me knowing, and I only had 5 days' notice before she actually got kidnapped. It was a very last-second thing because the thing was in May, and then she was like kidnapped in like the first week of June. It was crazy how fast it happened.
So tell us what that was like. You're being told that in 5 days your sister is now going on the show that, and I'll say it, Vanessa, you owned last season. You owned this show. I mean, it should have been Vanessa.
I didn't win, but thank you.
Well, you owned it. So how did you feel about that she's going in? Did you not want her to do that? If you could pull her out or turn it, what was that conversation like?
Our family is all about games. We always have been. Ever since I was little, we've always been super competitive, like playing backgammon, chess, poker, sports, anything for competition. And so I know how much fun, even though it was grueling and difficult and definitely has its tough parts, Big Brother was hands down a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and something that I would never take away the fact that I did that. So the fact that my sister has that same opportunity, awesome.
So I have a question, because I think everyone that saw your sister right away knew like that you were related, because there was kind of this tease in the beginning, and then people like boom, right away they saw the facial expressions. Like anyone who was just picking up would know she is your sister. What is your relationship like with your sister?
We're really close. We're only a year and not even 2 months apart. So we grew up, like when we were little, people used to think we were twins. This was before I had like really, really blonde hair, and before Tiffany actually dyes her hair darker and I dye my hair lighter. So that like accentuates our differences. When we have the same hair color, we look a lot alike. She's 2 inches taller, and of course I was taller when we were little because I was always a year older. But despite the like height difference stuff, we have a lot of similarities. Obviously our eyes are like exactly the same, face structure, voice. I knew that people were going to know that she was my sister. I told her, I was like, don't lie about it, no matter what. Like, if someone asks you, don't even try to deny it. Like, you're going to look so shady. And so, I mean, yeah, it's, I forgot the question. I got a little bit on a tangent there, but yeah.
Well, I was going to follow up, Vanessa. We've already seen some of the Russo tears as well. I want you to tell me how she's doing. Give us some pros, give us some cons. If your sister was kind of sitting here, how would you evaluate her gameplay so far?
I think my sister's doing great. You know, the thing is, I played a really, like, it's no secret, I played an aggressive game. I was more dominant, and I think that's pretty reflective of our personality difference. me being the older sister and she's the younger sister, you can kind of see she has the same dynamic going on with her and Day right now. If you've been watching the feeds, I don't know how much this will translate into the edited shows, but on the feeds, basically, Tiffany's used to having a big sister, someone to bounce ideas off of, and she's, you know, the younger sister, and I was the older sister, so I'm more used to like taking the bull by the horns, taking the lead, and making more aggressive moves, and you probably saw that in my gameplay. So that combined with the fact that Tiffany's coming in with a much bigger target on her back than I had on mine has forced her to play a much more defensive game than I've had to play. And she's also had to, just because of, I think people really misunderstand a lot of my strategy. I think that for whatever reason, due to how the show was edited last season, people think it was actually my strategy to cry. They don't realize that actually, like, if anything, the crying hurt me. Like, the reason I got as far as I did was 100% logic and persuasion, and that succeeded despite my emotional roller coaster. My emotional roller coaster was not part of the plan and wasn't effective. So the problem is people misunderstand that, and when they see that Tiffany's also emotional, I mean, we have a lot of genetic similarities, and I guess we come from an emotional family. When they see that, they think that that's part of her game, and it's just like really not. But to her credit, she's actually really not been that emotional. I think she's doing great. She's been on the block all week this week with a happy face on and staying really calm and chill, trusting her alliance almost overly so, in my opinion, until actually the last 24 hours. She turned it around and started stepping it up, realizing that maybe not everyone was telling her exactly the truth, that she wasn't the target, and she effectively campaigned today and Michelle yesterday. She divulged some key information to Michelle. She built up trust with Day, and then this morning she flipped James. So now she has a solid 3 of them, who were then in turn reaching out to Corey and who's the other one? Nicole, who Tiffany also talked to last night. And it looks like actually she split the vote as of like an hour ago. So it looks like Tiffany will be able to stay if everything, but we still got over 24 hours before the vote, so you never know.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree here. I think that's what we all learned. So, I mean, as a viewer, right, I think the one question that people kind of like, it comes to their brain immediately is how much information have you discussed with her before? Like, we know you just described how she got on the show, but how much of that information did you give her prior to her going on? Like, how much of an advantage do you think it really is?
I would have given her so much more if we'd had more time. Remember, I have the World Series, which is like the busiest time of year for me, and I only had 5 days notice. So we only got to talk on the phone for a few hours total for coaching before she went. So I didn't get her nearly as much coaching as I would have wanted to. Like one thing we didn't get to that I really wish we had was comp-specific strategy. Like I had a lot of strategy for a lot of different competitions, and it would have helped her a lot in some of these comps, especially like the memory one that she didn't win this last week. And so we didn't get to talk about comp-specific strategy, which, oh well. One thing we did talk about was the possibility of it coming out about her being my sister. I advised that if there was another sibling in there, I had a hunch, obviously, that if they're casting her, they're probably going to cast more than one sibling, or she would just be like the biggest target on earth. And so I was like, look, if there's some veterans in there or another sibling, there's going to be a shield for you. You'll probably have a sufficient safety net that it's better to err on the side of safety and just divulge that you're my sister rather than seeming shady and lying. She like half listened to me on that. She told half the house who she was, but kind of kept it from the other half until recently, and now it's come out and the whole house does know she's my sister. And it seems to work for her. I don't think it actually made a target out of her. So even though she didn't do it exactly as I would have, it's worked for her. The fact that she's my sister really hasn't worked that much against her since she let the whole house see that she wasn't playing nearly as aggressive of a game for a few weeks. And so that kind of countered against the fact that when they found out she was my sister, it was kind of like, we don't care kind of thing. And so I think it's been all right.
Hey, I want to get into your big brother mind a little bit more, Vanessa, and first hear your reaction to the format, and then I'd love to hear, you aren't a coach this season, but if you were a coach, painting with a broad brush, how would you coach up a returning house guest going in this season, and then how would you coach up someone who's brand new that is not necessarily your sister? But first, your kind of reaction to the format, and then what your coaching would be for kind of both sides of the house.
So I have some overall coaching that I would offer like anyone in the house, which I think that far too many of them are just totally ignoring this aspect of the game. It's like they're just totally taking the team twist, and it's not factoring into any of their decisions. Like, nobody is deciding to save or target people based on the fact that they're on their team or not. And that's strange to me. Like, some people seem to really not give a shit that the whole house is targeting every person on their team. Don't they realize that that decreases their odds of having safety every week? And, I mean, to me, that should be, like, level A of strategy, is always accounting for the fact that if there's a way to shift targets away from your team, you should be doing that. We haven't seen very much of that early on, but you see, actually, as you're watching the feeds, finally, in the last week, you can see that kind of logic starting to infiltrate how Day is acting, how Nicole's acting. For instance, Nicole being more willing to keep Tiffany now since she's on their team. That was part of her logic, in the last couple of days about being willing to flip her vote. For example, Day trying to shift attention away from maybe someone on her team to someone who's not on her team. You see her doing that with, like, for instance, which one's on her team? Paul's on her team, and Bronte's on the other one, right?
Paul D and it was Jose, I believe, were on her team.
No, I mean this week. You've got Paul on the block, who is on James. Paul's on her team, and then you've got Bronte, who's on James's team, right?
I think that's right, yeah.
Notice, although she was trying to flip the vote to keep Tiffany, who's her ally, she was subtly trying to keep Tiffany by targeting Bronte. She later realized the only way she was going to get James on board to keep Tiffany would be to let Bronte go home instead of Paul. And you can see her, the wheels are turning in her mind. She's like, but that's like a teammate of mine. She doesn't say that, but you see that she would prefer to. So just this week, finally the house guests are catching on that, wait, this team thing does kind of matter. So strategically, that's the first thing I would have pointed out. Then with regards to, like, being a veteran or a new player, with regards to the veterans, I think I don't mind the way most of them are doing it. I would have advised to band together, which they are. I would have advised that they obviously pick up the siblings right away. I'm not sure why Paulie wasn't in that original 8-person alliance. I think that he and Tiffany were automatic inclusions in the veteran mind, in my opinion. If I were a veteran going in there, I would have snatched up the next 2 biggest targets, being the 2 siblings, thinking that's a natural fit, those 6. I don't really know why that didn't happen, but that's what I would have advised. And then what I definitely would have advised against is what Frank has done, which is needing to over-control or micromanage everything in the house, because people don't like being controlled. So if you're going to be the puppet master in controlling decisions and manipulating people in terms of their game preferences, you have to be totally ambivalent and, in fact, play the beta dog, not the alpha dog, when it comes to everything else in the house, like what people are eating and when, what the activities are, And Frank, what he's really doing, which I think is a big mistake, is he's dominating the social atmosphere and the game, and that's just too overpowering. It's a faulty strategy, in my opinion.
Great. I'm sure all our viewers, Nick, are just feverishly writing down these great nuggets that Vanessa's throwing out our way. Yeah, so constantly playing the game, Nick, even at home.
I just keep thinking to myself, I hope that CBS, if they ever called me back, right, and this is a Hail Mary thing, people who go out second don't get called back, but...
No, Dave went back.
That's true.
Went out second.
So, look, there's my shining, there's the I hope, right? If they went back, maybe I could go back, right? And so if, in fact, they ever called, I would pray to the Big Brother gods that I would not be on the same season as Vanessa.
But that's the thing, that people totally misunderstand me. If you watched my season and watched the feeds, again, not just the edited version, I actually have a loyal nature. And
I'm saying I would lose. I would lose.
I voted for Liz to keep my word to her. I actually am very loyal unless someone betrays me. Problem was, I never had anyone on my season who was loyal to me without me finding out they'd betrayed me. Every single ally I had at one point or another, except for Shelly, of course, but she ended up on the block against me, targeted me at some point and, lied to my face or, was just really disloyal. And when that happens, I don't feel I owe someone loyalty in return. But I am the kind of person, even if I was in there, I would think it would be an advantage to you because I'd definitely be a shield for you. I'd be targeted first. And because simply the fact that people had this strange-ass perception about me. And I'd have your loyalty as long as, you're loyal to me, I'll be loyal to you, and we could break down situations together. I think it's not necessarily a terrible thing.
I retract my previous statement. I would want to go on Big Brother with Vanessa. It would be a guaranteed at least $50,000. I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah. He's bullshitting me.
Vanessa, he's already lying to you. How can you trust this guy as part of your
I don't know any loyalty, Nick. No loyalty.
Yeah.
As I'm texting Kev, let's vote her out. I'm putting her on the block next week.
Yeah. So Vanessa, give us a couple names of players right now.
I have to tell you guys something funny. This is okay. So this is sorry to interrupt you, but it just reminds me. So since we're on the topic of me going in the house, So within 5 days of watching my sister on the feeds, my overwhelming reaction was, shit, if I'm ever able to play this game again, I'm totally fucked. Like, look at how they're treating my sister, and she's not actually me. Like, if it were me, I'm screwed, people. Like, there better be some kind of major twist. I mean, I can't even think of a twist that would help me. I sort of think it would be like, it makes me sad.
I have a theory. If there ever were another season that I could potentially go on, there's a good chance that if they casted enough people that they wouldn't have watched as far back as 15. They might have never known that I played.
I don't know.
Vanessa, know that
10 years from now.
If CBS.
Oh no! Oh, there he is.
Am I back?
You're back.
Okay, awesome. So knowing that, Vanessa, if CBS cast you on the show, would you go on? Sorry, not cast you on the show. If they asked you back.
Yeah, I mean, the game lover in me just can't say no, probably. But I love games and challenges, and I didn't win the game the first time, so it's still that elusive carrot that I probably couldn't resist going for. Even though, I'd have to admit that I'd have a much harder go of it the second time around.
Yeah. So getting back.
I think week 3 is even a good elusive carrot. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Getting back to this season, Vanessa, give me a couple names of people that are playing the best game right now and why, and then a couple names of people that are playing the worst game right now and why.
Oh, I don't like being mean, but okay.
Or let's frame it in terms of constructive feedback for them of how they could play a better game.
Well, because that's the thing. It's not all black and white. It's actually like you can see advantages and disadvantages of every person's game, and also people's game evolves. Like, if you had asked me the first week, I would have said Frank was playing the best game. Then, by week 2, 3, that started to quickly torpedo out of control. Early on, I would have said, actually, James is playing currently, as of right now, going into, I guess, what it is, our 4th eviction vote. I would say James is playing a very solid game. He's flown under the radar. He's a part of a lot of key alliances right now. He's going to be part of flipping the vote to keep Tiffany. This is my optimism speaking, but still. And that gives him an in with Day and Nicole and Corey and Michelle. He's got the little side thing he's got going with Paulie, and he's got his relationship with the Spy Girls via Natalie, his quasi-showmance. So alliance-wise and structurally speaking, James is doing really well. Plus, he's one of the smaller guys in the house still. So even though the women outnumber the men, they're going to go for the bigger guys still before James. Plus, James has an excellent social game. Nobody dislikes him. He hasn't done anything wrong. If anything, he's been the kindest person in the house. And so I think James is playing very, very, very well. The only thing I would have wanted was a little more strategic discussion, but in the last 48 hours, actually, he started doing a lot of that, and he's really orchestrating the vote flip with Day right now. And so, I'm really impressed with how James is playing. He's playing a great game. In addition to that, I think Paulie's playing a really good game. For someone who was HOH already and came in with a sibling target, he hasn't been targeted for being a sibling at all. That's been all Tiffany, not him at all. He had never got any blowback for anything that happened when he was HOH. He let all the blame fall squarely on Frank's shoulders. He is well poised right now if they manage to successfully get rid of Frank next week to be the new puppet master of the house, but he's managing a lot better socially because he's not as controlling and dominant in a lot of the other areas of the house. So he is an effective persuader. He's obviously a really intelligent guy. Look at the word he spelled in the spelling comp. I think he went to Rutgers, maybe. Pretty sure it was Rutgers, yeah. And so he obviously went to a good school. He's a smart kid. And I mean, kid, I don't know if I'm even older than him or not, but but I think he's actually playing a really good game. I would just be cautious. I'm cautiously optimistic about him. My caution is he's creating a target for himself with the showmance with Zakia, A, and B, he is slightly pushing a little too hard to keep Tiffany in a way that it's reminiscent of Frank a little bit, and other people have pointed that out in the house. And so I'm just nervous that he tries to control things a little too much. I hope he doesn't. I hope as soon as he sees that Tiffany has the votes to stay, he doesn't try to get too controlling, because that would hurt him. And but if he can navigate that effectively, he's doing really well as well.
So I have one last question. If you had a phone call, right, and a magic phone dials in directly to the Big Brother house, and your sister is the one who's going to pick it up, and you have 2 sentences to tell her, what are those two? What is those 2 sentences? What does that sound like?
I love you no matter what, and I'm proud of you. But quit worrying about if I'm proud of you or not, and don't fucking mention my name again in that house. Stop wearing hats, stop dressing like me, and stop talking about me. First. Second, I would say you can trust Day, but not as much as you think you can. And you need to stop asking everyone for their opinion about what you need to do. You know the right answers inside of yourself. You have the confidence to do it. I'm going to support you no matter what. Now go play your own game. You don't need approval to make your decisions.
I love it.
Great advice. Yeah. So Nick, can we kind of close here with, and I've got to put you on the hot seat, Vanessa. Can you give us your pick right now? And we've talked about this could very well change week by week, day by day. But do you have a pick right now for the winner of Big Brother 18, based on right now?
Oh gosh. Okay. I mean, I'm so biased, but okay. Who's gonna win right now? I think
or a couple names, maybe.
I mean, I would love for my sister to win, and she definitely has a chance. The target on her right now is huge, so we're gonna need some dynamics to change for her. She's not the favorite right now if you just look at the game dynamics. So I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as possible. I'm going to say, as unbiasedly as possible, the winner will be, I'm going to guess, and this doesn't mean I think she deserves it, it just means I think she's going to get there and she has a really good shot. Actually, Zakia.
Ooh.
Because Paulie's playing such a great game, I think she's going to make it far with him, but I think he's going to be targeted before her. And I think that with so many women in the house, that it's definitely going to be, the odds are high that we have 2 women at the final 2. And Zakia hasn't burned any bridges or pissed anyone off on a social level. And she's well-spoken, very well-spoken. I could see her giving a good speech. I think she's got a good shot. She, Paulie, James, at this point, all have a really good shot. But Paulie and James are bigger targets, so it's less likely they get there.
And we know things.
I'm going to say Glenn. I think Glenn's going to come back and
Yes. Definitely.
No one saw it coming. It's definitely Glenn.
I like that. Yeah, things change day by day, week by week. We'll have to have you back on, Vanessa, to see how Zakia and your sister and Paulie and the rest of the house guests that you're liking their game so far. We'll see how they're doing here in a couple weeks. We'll have to check back in with you here.
Absolutely. Vanessa, where can everybody find you on the internet? What is your Twitter handle and anything else where we can find you?
Yeah, so basically Twitter is the best one, at Vanessa Russo, VANESSAROUSSO. And then follow my sister too, guys. It's at Tiffany Alexis 04. You can see it's right in my bio line on my Twitter page. There's a link to her Twitter page. I'm managing it while she's in the house. Yeah, so that's right.
We'll definitely check it out. Kev, where can we find you?
At KevSoup and KevSoup.com on the internet. I'm in Mexico right now, everybody. I should be back for our next show. I apologize if my feed's not great here, but thank you so much, Vanessa, for being on this show. Love picking your brain on Big Brother. Great to have you on. Can't wait to have you back again. And to our viewers out there, as always, thank you so much for watching these episodes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for everyone who's watching. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Uhas. We're going to be doing another show on Thursday and another one on Sunday. All things if Kev can actually make it to it. Big shout out. Thank you so much for Vanessa for coming on and giving us like an injection of smarts into exactly how the game should be played. And yeah, we'll see you guys here in a couple days.
All right. Bye, guys.